We are talking about the movie Burnt Offering, aka Schoolhouse. This one is directed and co-written by Stephen Perez, and this movie focuses on four youths who are somewhat kind of misspent, shall we say. They spend their days vandalising stuff and kind of stuff like that, and they're run off by a police officer and kind of run into the woods where they discover an abandoned building, which we later discover was an old school. However, this is home to a weird serial killer who has some kind of religious affiliation, shall we say, and is a security guard. And our boys there meet a couple of women or girls who are sort of in this kind of building as well, and they have to try and find means of escape. So let's talk about this movie then. So yeah, it is a pretty bog standard slasher movie. Nothing really, to be honest with you, that is going to jump out at me and say, oh, this was really great. Let's kind of break it down a little bit. Let's talk about the technical stuff first of all. So the location shooting I thought was okay here. The actual building does look suitably decrepit and kind of, you know, quite kind of spooky at times. Initially hints there might be something kind of supernatural going on, but don't be kind of like holding on too much about that one, to be honest. But I thought the location shooting here was okay, and you know, it was kind of good to see maybe we have our four kind of protagonists too. You know, they're meant to be sympathetic with them, but they are kind of like little toe rags at the end of the day. There are a couple of quite good imagery here. We go into this kind of like the belly of this kind of building, and we see some kind of like perverted religious iconography, I would say, and that does look kind of quite creepy at times. There are a couple of, you know, reasonable kind of like kill scenes here, with some fairly kind of like harsh violence. But I've got to be honest, there's no real kind of great thing I can tell you about this movie. There's some okay, there's some kind of generic stuff I can tell you. But to be honest with you, this movie is so forgettable. I mean, I don't know why it's called Burnt Offering. That's clearly just a kind of trying to capitalise on burnt offerings, I'm assuming, which is a 70s movie. The killer is a guy in a security guard outfit. Wow, that is scary. It really isn't. This building is an old schoolhouse, and these people can't find a way out. It's a schoolhouse. It is not a prison. There are plenty of exits in an old schoolhouse. I mean, it doesn't seem. It just stretches a little bit beyond belief, that one. And it ain't going to be that big. Let's be honest. The acting is, for lack of better word, a mixed bag. It's not brilliant. I've got to be honest with you. Some of the reactions here are a little bit piss poor by some of the younger cast here. It's just nothing new. It tries to have some kind of religious, without kind of going into spoilers here, religious kind of twist to it, I suppose. But it's not a supernatural twist. It's just kind of people's interpretations of things, shall we say? But it's just kind of, there's just nothing to it ultimately. It's just a bog standard slasher movie where the killer isn't very interesting, our protagonists aren't very interesting, you know, there's some kind of unrealistic kind of situations, and it's just very, very kind of banal. And having done many of these reviews now, I'm starting to wonder why people make a film where it's just nothing, it's just the same thing, but maybe done to a more mediocre standard. I just don't understand the market for it. So although I do think there are worse kind of slash movies, because there are some reasonable kind of like use of camera work here, music, that kind of stuff, and you know, the movie goes at a reasonable pace. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's just nothing very interesting. It's just not interesting because everything is just so kind of generic. So I will give this movie just a 4 out of 10 because it's just not very interesting. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.